So, hi, I'm Rebecca Trujillo Vest. We have today with us NIE Cruz, and we have Jordan Stovey, who's actually on the West Coast. Jordan, are you in LA?
No, I'm in Seattle still.
I say, okay, so Jordan
Yeah.
will be in LA like tomorrow or the next day.
Yeah.
And anyway, so here we are, and we are Pandion Music Foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit. We offer weekly online educational programs and wellness resources to help improve the music industry landscape and foster more attainable and sustainable careers for emerging artists, regardless of socioeconomic backgrounds or identity. And Levi Downey is a Los Angeles-based music producer with a passion for fusing genres like pop, dance, hip hop, and jazz. Levi has created music for shows like CBS's All American, The 4400, Disney's Bluey, and more. He experiments in the overlap between music and technology as a member of the 77-person headless band, Chaos, named Billboard's #1 music NFT project and contributes to several collectives including Emerge Music, Nobody and the Computer, Song Camp, The Rehearsal, and Water and Music. So welcome Downey, Levi Downey. I called you Downey first. So welcome Levi, and let's get to it. Tell us a little more about what you do and and also a little bit about all the collectives you're part of, because I think those are some of the more amazing things that I don't think a lot of people in this industry or in our groups are doing. So you're kind of you along with a few people are leading some new ideas in the music scope in the industry. So tell us more.
Thanks. That was a really sweet intro, and yeah, really grateful to be here with the Pandion Music Foundation, and grateful for the invite, Rebecca and Ahi. It's like really awesome to be here. I've watched a bunch of these, so it's cool to be long time listener, first time uh, panelist or Zoom person. So,
Exactly.
yeah, this is like really fun, and the yeah the I gave you a lot of organizations to list off. A lot of those are like project-based communities that I'm a part of, where we kind of join together for a specific purpose and build something together, and then move on to the next project. And that's a lot of how I like to work in the space that overlaps between music and technology. I think a lot of us creatives that are, making music, we kind of a lot of us lean towards technology and technological innovations, because music at its heart is in a lot of ways a technology. And so yeah, I'm just fascinated with all those overlaps. And the rehearsal is something that you mentioned. That's like a very I mean, there's still like technology involved, but it's very much like in-person artist showcase that happens once a week in South LA. So if anyone here is in LA, which few of us are, um, every Friday at a place called Mercado La Paloma is is a really beautiful, family friendly, totally free community space where we showcase artists, seasoned artists experimenting in new bodies of work. And yeah, so if you ever want to go to a fun show and get some great food at Mercado La Paloma, there's that. I'll
Yeah.
make a pitch for that
Can you put
IRL.
that in the chat?
Yeah, we'll do. I'll put
Because
our website in
I
there.
actually have it on my my calendar to go, and I still haven't gone. But I like
Yeah,
every Friday it pops up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm missing it again.
that's so. I love that. Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
a
thanks.
mom, so I'm. Oh yeah, thank you, Anai.
Thank
Okay,
you.
perfect. Um, okay, yeah, so that's pretty cool. I mean, that's how you meet. I mean, not only are you meeting people constantly this way, but your chops are being always getting, fine-tuned with all these new kind of ways of collaborating together. And so you're doing so many, so that brings you into so many different opportunities, right? You're playing live, you're producing live, you're working with these people, you're collaborating, and also you're going into digital format and making these amazing productions for, NFTs and so forth. And even like I've seen you play live with this with this some of these people at Space Barn and pretty amazing stuff. So yeah, so I mean, and that's what we're here to talk about today, which is, the future of music production and AI. And one moment in the past, Levi and I were talking about AI, and so this conversation came up, and I just thought you'd be perfect for this conversation. So really how today is going to go is Levi's going to lead us through the different ideas and slides and talking points, and we're going to have Q&A, but I'm going to definitely like bounce in and out of the conversation with you all. So let's get started.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, and again, thank you for the invite of this. This is something that I've been experimenting in for a few years now, and it's been really exciting to see the just the amazing shift that's happened in the space. Uh, it's quite dramatic, all the changes that have happened. I'm going to share and optimize for video since I'm going to be sharing some videos here. Let me see if I can get this started. That to view. There we go. Can y'all see the slide okay?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, what we're going to talk about today, as Rebecca said, I'm going to walk through some general concepts, but I recognize that a lot of us, maybe have some, varying experiences with some of the AI tools as it overlaps with music. So we're going to do a little walkthrough of a quick run through and play a little bit of a Turing test game in real time to see if we can spot the AI versus human sounds. Then we'll talk a little bit about the tools that were used for creating those sounds, and then I'll walk through some use cases that I personally use in my workflow currently because there's a lot of stuff and a lot of a lot of hype around artificial intelligence, and some of its practical uses now, and a lot of it's like maybe in the future someday. So wanted to just kind of ground it in like stuff that I find useful personally in my music creation practice, and and then it would be great to hear from everyone else too if they have tools that they've used, because it's a pretty expansive field that's changing really quickly. Then we'll talk a little bit about where we're headed in the future. There's some artists and some I'll call them like luminaries in the space that definitely can see a lot further into the future than I can, and we'll share a little bit of the work that they're working on. And then, of course, we have to touch on legal and ethical questions, and hopefully there's time for some discussion. And of course, Rebecca, feel free to jump in, as you said, to to ask any follow-ups. But yeah, my overall goal with this presentation I put together is to hopefully everyone in this room, the 10, 15, 20 of us, we hear a lot of negativity and a lot of fear around the future, and the future that's created by AI, or the future that involves AI. And I think that that's totally warranted. There are a lot of things to be cautious about. However, I do see a very optimistic view myself, and I'd like to hopefully have us leave this conversation feeling, yes, cautious in the areas that we should be cautious, but excited and really looking forward to the changes and the tools that are coming to help us create and share the human experience in ways that we couldn't have even dreamed of in the future. So that's the real goal of this not so hidden agenda of this presentation. But yeah, I thought it'd be fun to start with a poll. So the first Anahi, I think the first one is going to be, or yeah, we'll use the same poll question for all of them. But if you're not familiar, Turing test is this computer scientist who came up with this idea of like if you can have a conversation with an AI and not know whether or not it is human or AI, then that means it's artificial intelligence, or almost getting close to general intelligence. So it's kind of a fun test to see if if this is human or AI. So we're gonna launch a poll that will ask you how much of this sound, we're going to play a sound, and then we'll ask you how much of the sound is fully AI, or whether or not the song is fully AI, part human, part AI, or fully human. So it'll be three options there. And I'm gonna reduce the size of my screen so I can actually see the so I can actually see as well. But yeah, so the first one, let's and actually, yeah, I'm sorry, I can't actually see when the poll pops up, but um, do we want to launch the poll now and have people respond as they hear the song?
Yeah,
Sure.
I can watch it now.
Yeah, and also too, and if any of you are starting to put questions in the chat, we'll definitely address them at some point. So just hold tight. Go for it.
Yeah, give me 1 second. It's not accepting the poll.
Oh, okay. Let me know if I have to do anything too on my side. Oh, cool. Now I can see the poll.
Something's coming up.
Oh, can you?
A square came up and then it went away.
Oh
Oh,
yeah, I guess maybe I can launch it. How much of the song is AI?
yes.
Should I try to launch it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Here we go. Launching. All right. Cool. So these are the respondents. So I'm gonna hit play on this. If you've been following the AI, you know about this one.
I came in with my ex like Selena, the flex, bumping Justin Bieber, the fever and left. She know what she need, or she blessed, giving my best. Yeah, I got my heart on my sleeve with a knife in my back. What's with that? 21, I love him, then my butt.
All right, we are almost tied. Okay, yep, results coming in. Looks like a lot of people think so far, more than half think it's fully AI. About 25%, then it's split. Oh, it's still coming in. Results coming in, still coming in hot. So yeah, nice. Okay, so about 30% of us thought fully AI. Most of us thought part AI, part human, and about 25% said fully AI. So it's actually the option, the middle choice here, part human, part AI. So nice job, 5 of the 12, for catching that. And the interesting story about this one is that about a year and a couple months ago, this song just like was posted, and it was Drake's voice, as you can hear. But then the artist was named Ghostwriter, and they explicitly said that it was a deep fake of Drake's voice.
Wow.
So it's using AI to replicate Drake's voice, but all of the music production is all human made. So yeah, part human, part AI. Cool. Let's jump to the next one. Oh wait, I'm just now realizing I might show the answers on my notes here. So let me go back to presentation mode. Cool. All right, so the next one. Next slide. Here we go. Ready? I think I have to end the poll. Sorry, I'll end the poll. There we go. And then let me play here.
Hello, I'm not Johnny Cash. I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world. Life in plastic, it's fantastic. You can brush my hair, undress me everywhere.
Oh man, I love that one. All right, let's see, what do we got coming in so far? Okay, a lot of people feeling fully AI. Okay, nice. All right, so it is as well, again, part human, part AI. And this one is a really interesting case where they basically stripped the instrumental of a Johnny Cash song called Folsom Prison Blues, and then stripped the vocals, and then stripped the vocals of the Barbie girl song from Aqua, and matched the lyrics and vocal performance from the a cappella of Barbie Girl and replaced it again with a clone of Johnny Cash's voice. So kind of like a head spinning use of some AI tools, but it's getting a little bit more complex. So yeah, that one's kind of again a little bit of a trick question. It's a little bit of both. All right, let's go to the next one here. This is getting harder. It's getting a little bit more difficult. Now we're talking solo piano. Let me stop sharing the results there. Relaunch the poll. All right, here's the first one. All right, do y'all think? Oh, interesting. Split. No one thinks part human or part AI. Interesting. 10 out of 10. Okay, so it is actually fully human. Oh, sorry, someone was still responding. So yeah, that one's fully human. It's a song by Max Reicher, Catalog of an Afternoon. Beautiful album. Check it out. But yeah, thought I'd throw a trick one in there for for you guys. That one's fully human. All right, let's check out this one. All right, results. Closing the poll in 3, 2, 1. Nice job. 7 out of 11. Fully AI. That one's completely AI generated. No humans involved other than pressing a button in that one. And actually generated that one specifically for this, kind of copying the Max Reicher vibe, in Udio, which is a tool we'll talk a lot about in a bit. And
Did
that,
you press that button?
that was me. Yes, I can take full credit for the button pressing. So please send royalties to Light Star Studios. Thank you.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
like for a supervisor, it's like a nightmare for clearing clearance.
oh yeah, yeah. It's the legal web is real. So I think realizing now how it takes a little bit of time to do the poll, I'll skip through these other ones, but I'll share the presentation. Y'all can check it out, and I can share the results with
Okay.
which is which. But I don't want to take up too much time doing this. But it would
That
be
was such
amazing.
fun. That was such a fun poll. I mean, like that really gets you thinking and like, I mean,
Yeah.
we've talked about it and we've heard it, but like this is a great way to start it off.
Oh, good. Yeah. I feel like just grounding on like just the power of AI at its current state is important, because one thing to remember is that we are very much in the very early days of this revolution. I mean, it's been, the gestation period for artificial intelligence has been since about the 1940s, was when the first like scientific papers came out about um, using computer networks to simulate like human thought. And that, it's been a long gestation period, but the actual like practical like real world use cases portion of this technology is just starting. And it's pretty amazing because it's been about a year since we've been able to like just have publicly available, easy to use like consumer tools for generative AI. It's been about like a year, maybe a little bit more if you know how to use like some Google collaborative like software tools. But yeah, so the amount of improvement and growth that we've seen just makes me think of this really funny. I always think of this like Radio Shack ad where this, it feels ridiculous to see people lugging something like this around, and that this was like an advertised product. But remember, this was only like what, like 30 years ago, 40 years ago maybe. And it took, maybe it was like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, right, when the first like consumer grade smartphone came out. And that, that period of like 20, 30 years, imagine like we are just now starting the AI journey on this Radio Shack ad. For this is basically what I'm presenting as a Radio Shack ad for using AI in your creative process. And we're at this same stage of this luggy thing you have to carry around, that's like not super easy to use and doesn't work all the time. So just a reminder of that. And to paint the picture even more, I want to give a shout out to this human will.i.am, who a lot of you know as one of the front people of the Black Eyed Peas, but is also truly very invested and very deep thinker in the convergence between artificial intelligence and creativity. And I want to show a little bit of clip of a music video the Black Eyed Peas did. 14 years ago. So check this out.
Let's come with that next.
What is that?
What is that?
This right here is the future. I input my voice, high notes, my low notes, then the whole English vocabulary. What you're able to do with that, because of this artificial intelligence, like when it's time to make a new song, I just type in the lyrics, and then this thing sings it, says it, raps it, talks it. This is it.
Wait, that means I don't gotta like rap anymore or something?
I mean, you're still rapping, but
Like,
no.
I mean me physically, like in a vocal booth.
No.
Okay, so you're saying machine can do anything that an artist or a group can do.
Yes. This is what's going to take the P's into 3008. This is the future right here.
We're not just gonna not go to the studio and not sing anything. I mean, it takes the soul
No,
out
you
of
can
it.
still go to the studio. It could go to the studio and check out what the machine does.
Yeah, but it's not real, Will.
It is real.
We're not robots.
Well, nobody's saying robots. All I'm saying,
Seriously.
you guys
I'll
are
be
taking
back
this
later.
totally
I gotta
wrong. Well, you can't say futuristic and then be afraid of the future.
You're not.
Yeah, so it's crazy. It's hilarious, right? It's that conversation is basically like what people like artists are having on Twitter right now. Is you know, just kind of extreme viewpoints of like pushing the technology and pushing as far as we can go, and then people feeling like that's taking something away from the soul of creativity and artistry. And you know, this was back in you know, this is 14 years ago, so it's pretty fascinating to think that, you know, someone like Will was already thinking about this kind of stuff and actually you know, role-playing scenarios of what it would be like when we arrive in the time that we are now. And I think he probably thought it was going to be further in the future, but we're here now. And actually, you know, he's kind of put his money where his mouth is. He's actually an investor in Udio. What are some of the tools we can use right now? And I've put together a little list here. I'm going to share this deck with the team, and happy to share this direct link to a list of about 30 or 40 others that aren't on this slide. But generally speaking, these are the tools that I've found to be the most useful, that I use every day in my workflow, and that you know, we can dive a little bit more into detail on. But the general broad categories that I've noticed emerging are in generative music, so completely new sounds based from like a text prompt or another audio input. And those the clear leaders in this space are Udio and Suno. And then stem separation, there's actually probably 30 or 40 tools that can do this. And now Logic, for example, you can do this if you have a you know, if you run in Logic, you can actually do this natively in the app itself, and it's actually probably a little bit better than Fader. But anyways, these are two tools that anyone can access live right now. Voice timbre replication and cloning. Some of the popular two are listed here. These are the two that I've used in the past. Lyrics, obviously, this, you know, maybe not obviously, but the two leaders in the space, in my opinion, for support with writing words are ChatGPT and Claude. Instruments, there are a bunch of cool neural network instruments that are coming out, and some are really cool. These are just a couple that I've found and played around with. And then, of course, on the final stages of mixing and mastering a song, there are a lot of tools out there. Many are just being baked in natively to plugins that we use every day already, but there are a few that are specifically like being built around this this kind of like neural network, machine learning to like structure. So I've listed a few of those, and I'll share this full list too later if anyone wants to dive in and try some of this stuff out if you haven't already. And okay, some real-time use cases. So this is some fun stuff that I thought I would just highlight some things that I'm currently doing in my workflow in case it's helpful to get the ideas going for anyone who hasn't tried any of these tools. But also, you know, as a maybe point of discussion, would love to hear how others are using these tools, because we're in such early days that there are a million different ways we could all be using these things, and it'd be great to kind of learn from each other on that. So one example using ChatGPT that I use all the time now is, instead of going to Rhyme Zone, I'll ask a super specific question. Like, I'll give a preface of like what the song I'm working on is about generally. I'll mention the line that I'm working on or the line right before or after I'm working on. I'll give a really specific prompt, like something that you couldn't really get easily from Rhyme Zone. Like, can you give me 20 examples of words or short phrases that rhyme with I trust? It should be the same number of syllables, and please don't use the word trust again, because that can be, sometimes they'll just like spit out like exact rhymes with the same word. So yeah, like, and don't have to ask for 20, you can ask for 100, and it'll just like make up words at some point. But I find that really, really useful as like a really niche, like specific problem they're working on for like a lyric. I'll jump into ChatGPT and like just prompt it. And what I found is I use it pretty much the same way I do with Rhyme Zone, where almost like never do I actually find the exact word I'm looking for, or the exact phrase I'm looking for in the tool, but it'll open my mind to a new idea I didn't think of. Like for example, this one, disgust, as in like discussion, hadn't crossed my mind at all. So that was kind of a cool like jumping off point, which led to the actual like solution that I was looking for. So here's another one that everyone probably knows pretty it's pretty well established tool at this point, is stem separation. But I thought I'd share a way that I'm using it to just like learn from the greats and practice working on music in the way that and growing in my music production skills. So one of the things that I've been doing a lot actually is, if I hear a song that I really like, or any producers in the room, you'll probably relate to this. If you hear a sound or a groove or an instrument and you can't quite figure it out in your mind, like you're like, damn, I don't know if I could recreate that. Like I don't know how to do that like right now. Um, then it's just like this unanswered question just like just rolls in your mind forever, and you have to listen to the song a million times. So that now I have a way to like satiate that desire to learn it, and that's usually by throwing it into a stem separation tool. In this case, I use Fader for the song Ariana Grande. I was just like, I just knew instantly when I heard that song like a few months ago, whenever it came out, that it was a Max Martin production, and that the drums like had this just infectious groove that I kind of conceptualize how I do the same thing, but I like really wanted to like dig into it and be like, all right, why does that feel so good? And so I basically separated the stems, threw it into Logic, created a MIDI version of the same exact audio file of the drums, and then replaced my own drum sounds, and was trying to see if I could recreate that feeling using my own samples. And so yeah, and so now I have like a dope drum groove in any tempo and MIDI, and I can kind of use it in my song starts or productions. And you can obviously do the same thing in Ableton. In fact, you can go a little step further in Ableton pretty quickly. You can extract the groove itself from an audio file.
Right. It does it automatically. And then can I jump on that idea too? So for
please.
those of you that are naturalists, you can actually, if you love that groove so much, you can do the same thing. You don't even need to separate it. You can also just take your drum kit or your percussions and play along and record. And you're getting you're getting kind of like it's almost like a little mini teacher right in front of you. And you can still use your natural sound that way. So that's another way to even get closer to something natural.
I love that idea.
Yeah. And also too, it's still you. You're just getting inspiration with the beat. It would be like playing with somebody live and learning the beat. So I looking at, in this case, I would look at it like a little mini AI teacher or something, which probably is the future, by the way.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, good point. I totally I see it that way, the same way. Yeah, it's like I'm sure Max Martin seems like a pretty nice guy. Like if he happened to be in the same studio as me, and I was like, dude, you gotta show me the drum groove. Like, what kind of swing did you use in in that recent Ariana Grande song? And he'd probably just pull up the session and be like, oh yeah, here's what I did. You know, like, and so it's like a cool way to, it's like you're learning from the people that you want to be in the same like tribe as, and you don't even need their time. so yeah, it's pretty cool. I think it's going to allow us all to like get really good really quickly, using these types of tools. Cool. Another fun thing, and this one actually involves a song that Rebecca and I worked on last year. This is kind of a fun example of something that I've been doing regularly, and I'm laughing because I'm kind of embarrassed to share this because this is like stuff that I'll do on my own or with, you know, maybe one other human in the room, and I'll like put a scratch vocal down, and knowing that it's not going to be the actual voice, it's just going to be like maybe inspiration for a writer that we're going to bring in or a vocalist that we're going to hire. And so this is like a way that I will use these voice replacement tools to give myself separation from it just being my voice that I can't like, you know, emotionally can't like let go of, being like, oh man, this is not the voice that it's going to be in the final song. So here's an example of a song that Rebecca and I worked on where I did a rap actually, and then replaced the voice with Travis Scott just to get a feel for how it might actually, you know, sound with someone who's actually like a trained vocalist on it. So here we go. Here's a little sample of that.
Hey, come and make my day. Come and make my day.
Oh, see the way I move, get a better view, headed to the rooftop. Said, oh, see me on the moon, that's the way I walk. Then Michael said, don't stop.
So that's obviously my voice. And then yeah, basically with the process for this was I, you know, exported the acapella of my voice, uploaded it to La Lals, chose Travis Scott as the voice replacement, and then just spit out a WAV file with Travis doing the same exact thing I did.
Hey, and then come and make my day.
Sorry, what was that?
Oh, no, go ahead, play.
Oh, okay.
Hey, come and make my day. Come and make my day.
Oh, see the way I move, get a better view, headed to the rooftop. Said, oh, see me on the moon, that's the way I walk. Man, Michael said, don't stop.
Yeah, so you know, in that example, it's like the fidelity is a little bit lower, but the tool that like this is just an example of something that I do so that I can you know, think about it more as a producer instead of like a performer. Like if I'm doing a scratch take and I'm starting to send it around to people like looking for a rapper to replace this or to do their own thing on it, like I don't want to feel like, you know, embarrassed that my voice is on it, or like feel like, you know, I have to give these caveats of like the performance or whatever. If it's an AI voice, it's clear like this is not going to be the final vocal, right? Like from the beginning, like everyone kind of knows. So anyways, that's just an interesting use case I've found I do pretty regularly now if I want to just hear the, you know, the vocal performance in context outside of like me hearing my own voice.
Yeah,
were you going to say
and
something? Yeah.
people do that like in film production too. They take little snippets of things. This is what we're going for, and then they when the team gets together and they you know, oh, this is their inspiration to follow, whether it's with the visuals or the audio, or you know. So it's so treating it like a tool makes sense. Like okay, well, it's almost like a little futuristic idea,
Yeah.
little futuristic memo to yourself, like, oh, and then, you know, still making it yours. So these are excellent ways you're explaining how AI can be useful. So this is great.
Oh, good. Nice. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, it's definitely, you know, and I think the cool thing about it is it's so customizable, right? Like you're saying, this is my, you know, this is my version of like like feeling inspired basically is my way of it's like a little hack to feel more inspired. Like if it's my voice on this thing, all I can think about is like this isn't the final version, this is my scratch vocal. But if it's Travis Scott doing it, I'm like, oh, you know, that flow actually isn't too bad. Like obviously we want to like more high fidelity vocal performance, more energy and stuff, but yeah, it allows me to kind of step outside of it. And I think like you're saying with film production, if you're showing like treatments or you know, the even just like temp music, you know, that type of thing can be a really powerful tool to step outside of your own like biases and just observe something as a, you know, from a place of inspiration instead of like critical, you know, I guess like right and wrong.
Right, right. And like, you know, we'll get into the legal aspects in a little bit, but I think that as artists, we don't want to ever feel like we're getting taken advantage of or being used, in a way that our ideas and voices create this like futuristic generated AI that they just have access to everywhere, and that's another subject. But here we are, what are you going to do? We're born in this age of technology. We all decided to be artists at the same time in this time and place. Like this is where we're at. So it's not like you can go and try to take it away, even if you want it to. So it's happening. So how do you make peace with it? And how do you pull it back into making it useful, but still owning your own art? So that's just a question I want to ask all of you.
It's a great question. Something we should, really all think a lot about. And I think we'll talk about some examples of people who have found their answer to that question and kind of, share that with the world too. And, we'll talk about Grimes a little bit at the end of the presentation and, paths that she's found to answer that very question. And I think there is some really cool inspiration that we can draw from that and others. So that's the voice test example I use. Here's a new example that just was available. Like I've just started to do this last like 7 days, as the Udio model was just updated to the point where, with the functionality to where you can upload a piece of audio and tell Udio, the generative music tool, to add something on top of that, or add something as a new section to that, using the music you uploaded as inspiration and creating a new work that's related to it. So this is something that I've started to do. There's an artist I was working with just the other day that I'm not sharing the example. I worked with the artist just the other day because I wasn't able to get approval from them, so they're traveling. But I'll show you an example of a thing that I did get approval to try out and share publicly, where we took a snippet of an existing song. And the example that I'm using this for is if you are working on a piece of music and you have like some general ideas of where you want it to go next. So say you have like verse, pre, and a chorus, and that you have this idea of what you want the post to be, but you don't necessarily know what it might be. You can actually try out some ideas and have AI do some versions of that to give you some inspiration, and you can just draw from those ideas. Obviously, there are legal implications if you actually take the ideas themselves and copy paste them. But in terms of inspiration, that's just what we do as humans, and you can't, you can't. Well, there's a blurry line there, but you can definitely draw inspiration as long as you're not copying it note for note. There are some wiggle rooms there, but I'll share an example here of this song called "It's the Real Thing." The vocalist is Kenneth Perrin, an incredible vocalist. This is basically like a sync band.
We'll call it a reference. We'll call it referencing for now, and that's
referencing.
Yeah, referencing.
I like that. Yeah, it's like referencing. The same way if someone was like, hey, what if you added an 808, and you can imagine what the 808 would sound like. In this scenario, it's like AI saying, hey, what if we did this? And you can just kind of hear what that would sound like and use it as a reference or inspiration. And so this project, the Cherry Tops, it's like a sync moniker that I've been working with a team on. And we, Kenneth Perrin and I did this song, and I thought it'd be cool to hear what AI would do as an extension onto it. So the first 20 seconds you'll hear of this is me and Kenneth, and then, and Sean played bass. So me, Kenneth, and Sean for the first 20 seconds, and then the next 32 seconds are fully AI generated, and you'll hear the results here. It's pretty amazing.
This is the best. This is so true. The same feeling that I get from you. Gonna tell everybody. Gonna show the world. We're gonna make it. Say it with me now. Say it with me now. It's the real thing.
Did you say 32?
32 seconds. Yeah. So
Okay. I kind of went into that like wailing a little after that, right?
the first 20 seconds were just me and Keneith and Sean, and then everything after the 20-second mark was AI. So I'll play that transfer, that crossover moment one more time.
Gonna make it, say it with me now.
Yeah, so pretty amazing.
Wow. Yeah.
And it's like, it's kind of scary in some way, because like that was really freaking cool. I wouldn't have done that move into the chorus, but I'm like, man, maybe I should have, like that was a really cool idea. And it's basically using the vocals that were there already and cloning Keneith's voice, and then adding. I actually wrote out the lyrics to the actual chorus that we actually wrote, just to see what it would do. And so it used the same lyrics that we actually wrote, but it created its own melody, its own drum groove, its own bass groove, and the chordal structure was obviously very related to what was before. But yeah, it's fascinating how powerful these tools are getting. And I'm already using this as inspiration for some works I mentioned with like another artist, where we were in the studio and we're like, you know what, let's basically hit shuffle on a potential post chorus. What are some post choruses that someone might come up with for this? And we use that as inspiration. We ended up doing something totally different than what AI had created, but it led us down a path of inspiration and excitement. So I find that momentum is everything. And any tool I can use that helps create inspiration and creative momentum in the studio, I'm definitely going to be using. So hopefully that's helpful on
Yeah.
some practical
Yeah.
ways.
Love it. Love it.
Cool. Yeah, so where we're going next, I think this is some really important there's some really important stories of things that are happening now and things that will continue to happen in the future, and some things that we can use as inspiration for answering some of these unknowns that Rebecca brought up, for example. But here's like a kind of a legal web a story that is really fascinating, that was kind of it's been circling around the music industry for the last few months. And I'm sure all of you are aware of the Drake and Kendrick Lamar beef battle that had been going on for several months. And this is, a lot of people didn't, or some people knew and some people didn't know, that there was like actually an AI story wrapped up in one of the releases, the Drake release, called "You My Everything." And there's a little bit of a chronology here of how AI was used in that song. And one of the first examples of a major record label artist releasing and clearing a fully AI generated piece of a sound recording. So it's a really fascinating story. So basically, King Wallonius, if you're not familiar with the story, I'll just give the overview here. King Wallonius is a comedian who was participating in the Drake Kendrick back and forth. As a joke, he wrote a song called BBL Drizzy, which is basically like a diss on Drake. And he wrote the lyrics actually, and then used I believe it was Suno, to create like 20 different versions and 20 different genres of the same song, and then posted them all. And then this one started to get a lot of traction because, as you hear, it's actually really dope. It's kind of like a soul version of the song. Here it goes.
BBL Drizzy, BBL Drizzy, I'm going in. No diddy.
Oh man, so good. It's that good the whole time. You should listen to the whole thing. It's pretty great. So Metro Boomin, who's a very critically acclaimed music producer, one of the best in the business, heard that and was like, "Oh damn, I want to sample that and do a remix." So Metro Boomin samples that sound recording and uses it in a remix, and he drops that on YouTube. Pitches it up, chops it up, screws it up a bit, adds some like huge kick and 808s and hi-hats, and it's just really cool, right? Really cool, taking like as if it was a record from the 70s and chopping up and create a remix. Dope. That's all fair game, right? I mean, it's AI generated, so, and he's not like making money off of this. He just threw it on YouTube and didn't ask for any royalties. And then the Drake team, probably is a way to say like, hey, I don't care about that diss, like, trying to like reverse troll or whatever, uses that sample in a public release of You My Everything, which just gets like, millions and millions of streams. And so you can hear the little sample in the actual release version here.
Need a new body, they hitting me, ayy. BBL Drizzy, they want a new body, they asked me for it. The last one, John, he did it for free, cause I sent over so many past ones for him, but red. Don't even worry about all of that shit, just keep it natural for him, I swear. I got a pass.
So now we have this web of Drake using a sample of a sample that was completely generated by AI, plus lyrics from King Wildonius. And so this was like, this could have been a nightmare, could have been like a tangled web and lawsuits, but it actually got cleared and actually got resolved. And you can read the whole story of how that process happened in this Billboard article I linked to. It's a really fascinating read, definitely worth like wrapping your head around how this stuff is going to work in the future. But yeah, so that's the how it ended up working is the sound recording itself of the original sample cannot hold copyright because it was completely AI generated. However, the composition side, so the publishing and the writer share, does, because it was partly created by the human King Wildonius. And so Metro Boomin made it a lot simpler for everybody because he didn't even ask for any royalties. He was like, look, I just did this for fun. Like, I don't want any money from this. So he waived his rights. And then so Drake's publishing company, because the sound recording on the master side, so the record label typically didn't need to go after the sound recording because Metro Boomin waived his rights to his version of the sound recording, and AI can't hold copyright on its own. We can talk more about that in a minute. But then the publishing side was unanswered, so the Drake publishing team just had to get the lyrics cleared from King Wildonius. So kind of a spinning web of clearance, and that could have been a nightmare, but I'm sure it probably was a nightmare at first, but it actually got cleared and everyone got paid and everyone seems to be okay with how it went. So that's like just a real world, one of the first real world examples we have to date of this actually occurring. So I think it's an important case study to look at because it's going to be happening constantly. Like probably the next 5 years is going to be just like almost a daily thing. People
it's going to be happening, and there's going to be a ping pong of legal back and forth. So we're going to watch this all play out. Can we open this up to questions? I know there was a lot of comments and questions in the chat, but maybe instead of that approach, maybe you can raise your hand. Whoever does it first can get up on and talk to Levi directly. If everybody's okay, we can just go a little bit over time. If you have to leave, that's understandable, and we send you love. Any questions? Raise your hand. Carrie, do you want to? Here, you can. I unmuted you, Carrie.
Oh, okay, I just did. Something Levi mentioned at the beginning was how well, I'll just answer that. How AI and MIDI, I'm thinking that. Does AI use wave or MIDI, or does it use both when you're doing the? Because I'm still new to it.
Yeah, that's a great question actually, and the answer is yes, it can both. So the MIDI is a symbolic language, right, of representing music, and then there's the actual waveforms itself. And so the best models out there use a combination of like actual audio processing, like some of these deep learning tools will actually process the audio the same way like a human brain will. Like sound comes in and then it tries to make sense of it. But there's also a lot of symbolic language we can give the same tool to speed that along and help it understand like music theory, music structure. So a lot of the models use both MIDI and the actual audio itself, but typically they'll specialize in one or the other. So I believe almost everything that we heard from like Udio and Suno, like the generative music stuff we heard, it's my understanding that most of that is actually just like processing the audio itself. There's no MIDI involved.
Right. It's probably pretty more audio because that's how what the software uses so far.
Right. Thank you, Carrie.
Oh, yeah, thanks.
We have a question from Katie. I'm going to unmute you.
Yeah, I just wondered if you're using, I know all of these usually have like a little bit that you can do with a free or without subscribing, but to get the full effect of everything, you have to have a paid subscription. Are you subscribing to all these different services to be able to get these outputs or separate the tracks and download the higher quality files and all that?
Yeah, a lot of them I am. Yeah, subscribe to maybe like for sure Udio I subscribe to, that allows you to do some of these newer features that they just released, like the extension that I mentioned. That's a paid, I think it's like $20 a month. You know, ChatGPT obviously has a paid tier that's a little bit better than the unpaid. Fader, the one that I used for like stem separation, I believe I paid for, but they have a free version that's like just as good. You just can't have as many tracks. So there a lot of these are freemium models, but yeah, I think the higher quality ones like do typically have like a subscription.
Yeah, that can add up pretty fast.
Yeah, definitely. But you know, almost all of them have a free trial to just like get your hands dirty and like see which ones maybe you want to use regularly.
Right. So maybe trying it out, doing the free option is a good idea, just until you know. Does anybody else have any questions? There were some great comments in the chat. Thank you for engaging, and there were a few questions. But anybody else want to raise their hand right now? So Carrie's asking, will we receive a list of the software he listed? Yeah, I think that NI posted Levi's, if you can repost that, NI. And I think that we're also going to have access to this presentation, right?
Yeah. I'll share the view link, and there's even more examples in here we didn't get to. So yeah, definitely.
Right. And I think, did you just post the Instagram? Is that Levi's Instagram?
Yeah, I just shared Levi's socials.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. And he's so much fun to follow, so I highly recommend it. Anybody else, you guys? This is really good stuff. And if you want to, you know, obviously you can go back and rewatch this. This is great information here. And this is just the beginning. We're going to keep the conversation going. We'll have Levi back again as we get further with AI. Katie, you have another question?
Yes. I have another question looking at the list. If you were trying to replicate your own voice, would one of these that you have on your list for tone generation be recommended over others if you wanted to like put in samples of your own voice and get a...
I would start with Lalals. Yeah, there's a voice. That's called cloning. And so if you wanted to clone your own voice, I believe Lalals has one that's pretty easy to use. And then UberDuck, yeah, actually both those. I think I have two on there, right? UberDuck and Lalals.
And you also list it for Moises.
Oh yeah, Moises. Yeah, that one too. Honestly, I would try all of them because they're all like, you know, they're slightly different models, and depending on your voice tone, it might do better or worse. Because yeah, I've noticed that with some models, like certain voices just don't clone very well. It's really interesting. But yeah, I would try all three. I think I would recommend
Test them out.
maybe UberDuck probably was what I would start with. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks.
And then I just want to like throw this out. I mean, I know this is more about tech, but another way to raise to make money would be to create your own samples, and that could also be your own vocals, your own voice ideas. So that's another way you can possibly bring income in. There's Tony. We have one more time for one more question. Is that good, Levi?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was deep in the chat there. Yeah, of course. No, I'm free for the next 15
Okay.
minutes. So yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm unmuting you, Tony. Go ahead.
Thank you. Very interesting. Thank you very much for your ideas. I was playing around with Suno, and it's generating lyrics for me. Some of the lyrics are rubbish, but some of them are really good. How much can I claim as being my own? Because it's not. How much of my input has to be part of the song before I can say, yeah, it's mine. It's not just artificially created. Does that make sense? Sorry, it's early here.
No, that's a really important key question, honestly. And I guess I didn't mention this in the beginning to you, but I should have. My wife was like, make sure, because I was talking about some of the stuff we're talking about. My wife, Kelly, was like, make sure you remind people that you're not a lawyer and you don't give legal advice. I was like, oh yeah, that's true. I'm not a lawyer. I don't give legal advice. Um, but um, but what you're talking about is one of the fundamental legal question marks that is unknown in the space right now. And there is some precedent though that I can share that I've been doing a lot of research on. And the current consensus is that there have been some cases that have been decided that that only a human can hold copyright, right? So the question is, um, how much of what you made was human made, and that's where the argument uh, kind of kind of is currently that you're touching on is if I contributed, if I typed a couple words as inspiration for the AI, doesn't the AI actually owe some of its writing process to me as the human? And that's a question that's unanswered. But the legal term I believe is diminutive. If the if your contribution was diminutive, like it's like a passive, like kind of contribution is how I think of it, then likely it's not going to be able to hold copyright. But if your contribution was substantial in looking at the work in its entirety, then likely you should be able to claim at least a portion of the copyright.
Right. And it's true. It's like we don't know because don't forget everything you do with AI, there's the company has access to the history of that. So if they were ever brought into some kind of legal dispute, you would the legal would have access to some of that information. Just so you keep that in mind as well.
Yeah, and
I don't know how far they would go with it, but I mean, like, let's say it became a big hit or something, and then there was some kind of dispute. I don't know. I'm
yeah,
just
the Copyright Office just like you're saying, Rebecca, has put out guidelines saying that if you do in that scenario, Tony, like if you did want to claim partial ownership of something, or even full ownership in something, because maybe the AI's contribution was diminutive. So it's if you do want to claim copyright, then a prerequisite to have copyright protection, the Copyright Office has clearly stated that you have to actually be totally transparent on what pieces were and were not used and in what way, in order for that to be protected. So yeah, transparency and clarity. Always, even if it was a small piece that you used of AI, like always make sure that's known. But I will say that there is a difference between owning copyright and owning a thing. So it's like you can still make money off of selling, buying, trading something, even if you don't own the copyright, right? If you buy a record at a record store, you can still sell that as a collector's item. You can rent it to somebody. So you can still make money off of the works you made with AI, but you just might not have the copyright backing. Yeah.
It's like some people might sample and release, and maybe it can come up legally, but it's not like you're saying that you own this, right? But if you send it to a agency, they're gonna wanna know, or supervisor, do you own this? And then they don't want samples, that kind of thing. But one way to look at this, Tony, would be how Levi was using it in the beginning in his presentation, which is instead of Rhyme Zone, you're using Chat GP or whatever, and you're using it more as a tool to help you through your lyrics. And it just kind of opens your mind that way. I would say as artists, one way we can really use AI as a reference, as like a little mini teacher, but still make the music your own. That's my suggestion right now until we have more information about legal. It's if you want to get into if you want it for licensing. But like Levi said, if you want to just have fun with it and then throw it in YouTube and see what happens, that's another story.
I'm thinking more from if I'm submitting it to a supervisor, can I really claim that I have 100% copyright when I don't?
Yeah, that would be a tricky one. Yeah, I would say then only use it as a Rhyme Zone, like still make it still your own words, and then just like if you need a word help or something, you might even see something that came up and you can rewrite it as inspiration.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you.
I feel your the pain of that unknown is real. I feel that too, because I mean, sometimes I find it really frustrating that, like, for example, I don't mention all the AI tools that are just like native in my DAW when I'm creating music. It's like half the time when I'm making something, it's like I'm like an executive producer of a computer, basically. And yet I'm claiming 100% writer's share and ownership in something. So drummer, like Drummer and Logic, or like some of these contact tools that I use constantly, like for session guitar or whatever, like, these are definitely.
Yeah, it's like using the kit versus the sample. That's the question. Like, so if you know the difference, so the sample, no, for licensing, the kit, you're creating it. So you're taking the sound and you're creating it. So those are the differences, right, Levi?
Yeah, I agree. I think that, there are some clear legal lines that have been drawn in the sand. And I think that a lot of these tools are like making that line seem less logical, I think. And so that's like, something that's coming, like, as of right now, we just have to be really cautious. And like you're saying, like, we have to, you have to be fully transparent, and you have to just like really be really clear of what you are and aren't using that's AI, that as the way we understand AI as a, general understanding. But yeah, I see what you're saying about like the composition versus the sound recording, basically. But yeah, I do think these lines are getting really blurry, and there are going to be some changes in the future.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, don't forget, like, you could, if you were to just take someone's drum sample, they can easily track it, these days. I mean, it's like easier to track. AI is also getting good at tracking where it's coming from. So just remember that. I'm not, the lyrical aspect of it is a little tricky or a little weird, but once again, I think that I even read an article early on about AI. There is a memory of AI of who used what and what the history of you using it in your account. So that, just like anything else that goes to court, that would probably be accessible. And I don't even know how far that would be, but one thing you don't want to do is ruin your relationship with the supervisor, or get on a list, of this person, is it whatever, like you want to have a good standing when you're getting into licensing.
Yeah.
And it's just a good rule to follow, even for your fellow, like, just as far as all of us standing together, like how we could do it, how we could use AI as a tool rather than just taking somebody else's art, which AI does, and then just makes it, available. Which, once again, we could be talking in 6 weeks and the rules could be very clear, and we might even have a different answer for you. But right now, I would be careful with the licensing aspect.
Yeah, it's fascinating times. yeah, like things are definitely changing, and yeah, all we can do is like be aware what these changes are, and yeah, hope that we find a way to be able to use these tools and be really clear about them, because there are some opportunities that will come from specifically from using these tools that didn't exist before. The kind of the final uh, key takeaway that I like to share in these kinds of like conversations that I have with all my friends and fellow music makers is the transformation that like the ability to record sound had on like the live musician market, and then the transformation that sampling of that recorded music had on the world of like music makers in the studio, and now the transformation of artificial intelligence on the people who are using these like sampling technologies like a DAW, is going to be just as dramatic, but also probably just as promising, and with a lot of great opportunities that didn't exist before. Like I remember hearing there's a this union leader. I'm spacing on his name. American Music Federation union leader who was like just fighting so hard to stop recorded music from being a thing in theaters, in talkies, right? Because there was the biggest, most well-established job, that's the most dependable job for a musician at that time, was to be playing in the pit orchestra for talkies. And so that those jobs went completely within like a 5-year period, went totally disappeared completely. And that birthed an entire new industry of sync licensing, because there needed to be recorded music put to picture. And we all know the story of where that went. So it's like we you know, we change and we have to adjust. But I think overall, I think we're going to witness something very similar where, yes, there's going to be a lot of pain and confusion in the beginning, but
And we could get back to that. We could get back, maybe that's what makes the experience of going to see a movie would be unique, would be getting back that orchestra. So that's one way to, like, as musicians and as a community, we can start looking at new ideas of how to make it interesting again for people to come back to enjoy movies or music. Because I think that after a while, you're just going to get sick of hearing the same stuff over and over again. And just like you brought up Bach, I have this idea of doing, like, wouldn't it be cool? And I haven't done it yet, so you guys can steal my idea until I do it, and then even after you could do it. But I was thinking of, taking the notes apart and then just singing in myself a whole Bach piece, and that's where AI could be really useful. So, but you're still doing it yourself, So it's like but it's like using it like a teacher. So anyway, just an idea. Anyway, we gotta go. We took a lot of your time, Levi. This is just too interesting.
This was so fun. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and remember, you guys, this is on replay. If you guys want to share it with your friends or other fellow musicians, community. Thank you for coming. Thank you, Levi. We'll have you back again. So much going on in the world of Pandion Music Foundation. Who do we have next week? We have agency, right?
Yeah, Bobby Reimer.
Yes, and he shows up at Durango a lot. He's great. I believe he's from Nashville. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And I've met him and I've talked to him. We've had him on as a guest before. He's really, really kind person and real smart, and has been around for a long time. A&R. And also, we are having this amazing teen camp here happening with that Pandion Music Foundation is putting on, and it's for Los Angeles School District kids, and it's happening next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We are looking for support financially. If anyone feels like they have an extra dollar or something and they want to contribute, I think Anna put it in the chat. We are paying for this ourselves, and the students get this for free. We're trying to get 15 different students each day. One is on music production, one is on teen camp, band camp, and one is on songwriting. And we have some great mentors with that. So anyway, we'll keep you posted on that as well. So yes, thank you, Levi, and we'll talk again in the future.
Thanks, Levi.
Thanks everybody so much. It's great to be here. Appreciate
Bye,
it.
everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Enjoy.